And we are live.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Let's see who comes in today.
Oh, this is cool. I like this platform. You can StreamYard.
StreamYard, yeah. I use this all through pandemic.
I wonder if I can teach on this.
You might be able to. I don't know. I don't know if people
This is nice.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Did you share the link on your page?
I did. I shared it on my page, but you know what? I got to go over there because my mama and them probably.
Not the link I gave you, but the link
Oh, I see us right now. Hold on.
Yeah.
This link
share the link on my page or CSI.
So this link that you sent me right here, here's your link.
That's for the studio. That's for the studio.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to send them that because you know who'll show up in here? My mama.
No,
I'm in the wrong spot.
Hi, Brian. How are you? Hi, Martin. Good morning. Yeah, almost. Hi, Dave. Dave,
I don't see the link, Karen.
On my page. Just share my
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, just share on my page from my page.
Boom.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. People are coming in.
Boom. I love it.
Good evening. Good Thursday evening. Yeah, just share.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you talking. There we go.
Thursday evening. It's so great to see everybody coming in. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, I always I did these all through pandemic or whatever, and then did some and got exhausted and stopped doing them. But I missed so much the community.
Yes, the community of it all.
Yes, the community of it all. And although, we have to do all the work, and especially with people that you don't know.
Yes.
People I have to do my research on, but those like you, I know, but like other people do not know very well. Like this is another job.
Let me do a little research.
Yes, exactly. And Cincinnati Song Initiative, which is a wonderful organization out of Cincinnati, with Sam Martin as the artistic director.
Okay.
Yes. Invite me. Hi, Thomas Cannon. Oh my God.
Oh, there's Dr. Cannon. Oh, well, fine.
Yes. Y'all, so y'all share this
I'm this right now.
Live. Make sure you like the CSI page. There are wonderful, wonderful recitals. Hi, Mark Markham.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Wonderful recitals, wonderful podcasts on their website, Cincinnati Song Initiative. They're doing amazing things, artist-led, artist-driven.
Oh, God.
Well, that's your
Amanda Pink. Okay, who's that? Jarrell? All right. Okay. See,
yeah. So I just wanted to so you can see everybody that's here.
Yes.
Good evening. David, yes. Thomas, yes. Good evening, everybody. Well, let's see. We are 3 minutes in. So listen. The Outlaw, the Sidney Outlaw.
You remember that dance? The Brandy video back in the night? Everybody was doing that back in the day.
Yes. Jarrell said he better sing something for. Oh.
What am I going to sing? No, I'm not singing that.
Jarrell's a fool. When Jarrell is a fool, have you sing? Hey, Jim.
Oh, there's Jim. Hey, Jim.
Yes. Cheer. Ching. Oh,
ching. Yes. Okay.
I have rehearsal with Mark Markham, so I'm being good tomorrow. Being good, so.
Oh yes, honey, because he already done sent the message. Said, don't y'all be on there cutting up.
I know. I mean, to talk in my opera voice. Okay. Well, Sidney Outlaw. I don't even know how long we've known each other.
Since November of 2000. Because I came up to Curtis. No, it was May of 2000, March or May, because I came up to Curtis to audition. It was freezing cold. It snowed that night, and I met you. on the front steps of Curtis Institute because I was standing with Valerie Agbanaya. That's why I brought her up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and she already knew you. And so that's how I first met you. And you were like, you need to open with the Wagner O Du Mein Holder because then they're going to call blah, blah, blah. And I did, and they did. And so that's how I met you. And I met you, it was like around 8:30 p.m. because they were running behind. And all y'all was in there in the audition, which I thought was like, oh, this is interesting. So these must be like open for people. Let me sing then. And so that's how we met. We met in the spring of 2000.
Wow. Yep. I heard that they always say that I talk with authority, like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Allegedly that's a critique from certain people.
Okay.
She knows everything.
That's because we're Virgos.
I mean, I don't know everything, but I do know what I know.
I know what I know. I don't know everything, but I know what I know. You know what she said? Many people say, Karen, you're not from Texas, but you stay holding them. And to that, I say thank you. Okay.
Let me introduce you, Crazy.
Oh, we ain't done that part yet. Okay.
Yes, 2 Virgos. And he is a definite Virgo.
Oh, big time.
Big time. When's your birthday?
The 12th, September.
Oh, yeah, you real Virgo.
And I was late. I was supposed to be August 31st.
Oh, still Virgo though. Still Virgo.
Yep. Still a Virgo. Look, we're talking about messy.
Mess, always.
Girl, you have no idea. Do you know how many faculty meetings I have been in since I've seen you? You have no idea how messy it can get.
Oh, Lord. We still want to keep our jobs. Yeah. But just a little bit. That's what's fun. We mess in love. Yes. Let me read your bio. So, Sidney Outlaw, Grand Prize winner of the Concurso Internacional de Canto Montserrat Caballé, rest in peace.
Sell it.
In 2010, delights audiences with his rich and versatile baritone, engaging stage presence. A graduate of the Maryland Opera Program. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yes, he recently added a Grammy nomination to his list of accomplishments for the Knoxville Records recording of Darius Milhouse's L'Orestier.
It's just the Orestian trilogy.
Got it.
There you go.
Mr. Outlaw made his San Francisco Opera debut in Billy Budd, and other opera highlights include Salieri's Mozart and Salieri, Jake and Porgy and Bess, Figaro and Barbieri di Siviglia, Marcello and Bohème.
Sell it.
Come on, Tony McIntyre and Fellow Travelers, which I saw. Dizzy Gillespie and Yarburg, which I was a part of.
Yeah.
Yes, the world premiere and the world premiere of The Fix. A frequent and incredible, concert soloist. Get into it. He recently sang Handel's Messiah at the Carnegie Hall, which he does probably one of the best in the world. Not probably, is one of the best in the world. Additional concert works, Beethoven's Missa Solemn, Mahler's Song of the Wayfarer, Fauré's Requiem, Brahms' Requiem. His latest collaboration with Warren Jones, a CD entitled Lament, which is fabulous, features works of Ricky Ian Gordon, who we love, who is a part of the Konvos crew, Robert Owens, Dorothy Wedmore, H.T. Burley, and words of Langston Hughes. Mr. Outlaw is currently professor of voice at the Manhattan School of Music in New York City. Please, Konvos crew, welcome the Outlaw, Sidney Outlaw. Yes.
And I would like to say I am prepping my first Don Giovanni for Boston Baroque in April.
Yes. Okay, we're going to talk about that because I got a text message from a birdie saying that I had to ask about that. So
okay.
Yes. Sidney, welcome. Oh, Chad. Yes. Hi, Chad.
Oh, there's Chad. Hey, Chad, who was in the first opera that I ever performed in New York City in grad school. Chad, remember when we did Johnny Skiki? Me, you, Sasha Cook. And we did it with like $10 because we didn't have our big set and everything at Juilliard. We did it with $10 and some desks and some chairs from the classrooms. It was great.
Oh, listen, you make opera happen. See, Mark, your people are here.
Okay, I was going to say Mark,
listen, Mark has fans. Mark has a whole thing. Yes.
Okay.
And Aaron
And
Morley.
Aaron Morley was smoking those cigarettes. Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Hey, Quita. Hey, Queen.
There's a Quita.
Yes. Welcome.
Laquita.
Yes. Welcome. Okay, Sidney Outlaw.
Yeah, let's get to business because we'll kiki all night.
I know all night. But please tell the audience, anyone who doesn't know, be you beyond your bio, of course, on your fabulous, fabulous accomplishments. Please, who is Sidney Outlaw?
You know, I am that sassy Black kid who grew up. I like to say I grew up in New York City. I matriculated through New York City, but I grew up in the back hills of North Carolina. And I grew up in a tight knit community, which is still tight, you know, that type of a thing. And I'm just I change every day. I'm not like, I just kind of evolve every day. I feel that about myself, you know, so I'm not even the same person I was yesterday, other than my knees popping when I get up because I'm 42.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole, like, another thing. But I like to say I'm that, you know, sassy musician from the South who lives in New York and just finding my place in service of others as an artist. And that's one big way that I've changed since we first met. You know, when we were young, it was like, oh, I'm going to do this, I want to do that, and then it's like, how can I use that now in service of others? So that's who I am now.
Yes, fine. That's a wonderful point, and also the journey part, right? Of becoming this artist, a singer. Like, oh, I love to sing. I want to sing, and I'm a young singer, and I just want to do it because I can make a beautiful sound.
Yeah.
And the journey of arc of when it's not just about you, and it becomes you have to do more. You have to dig deeper. You have to do more, and all those things.
Absolutely.
In order to make the music. Do you come from a musical family?
I do. I come from a musical family, especially on my mom's side. You know, somebody has always been in charge of the music at our church since Mama Ada. And Mama Ada was my great grandmama, you know, and so that's just kind of been passed down from generation to generation in our family. So when I got ready to study music formally, which was in high school, you know, in middle school, high school, but by the time I got to college and Juilliard, places like that, it had been years. You know, I had, you know, had formal training in, which I thought was normal until I talked to some of my colleagues and they were like, oh, I just started singing and I got here by way of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, I spent the first 18 years of my life in a practice room practicing playing the French horn, you know, and so I came from a very musical family and just grew up around it.
Right. French horn. You said you played the French horn?
I played the French horn for 14 years.
What? I did not know that.
Not only am I a Virgo, I'm a brass player.
Right. The mouth, everything is so wow. That's amazing. And your mom, okay, didn't you tell me she sends you ornaments? Like
oh my God, my mom be writing stuff. My aunt writes stuff. Please, kidding me? That's normal.
Wow. So where are you from? Where are you from?
I grew up in Brevard, North Carolina, which is, you know, the town of Brevard Music Center. And so, you know, the first time I heard opera, it was Angela Brown singing on stage with David Holly. And I wasn't at the music center. I was at the house and I could hear it in the air. That's how close we lived. You could hear them practicing. You still can. This summer, you know, I work there in the summers now. You can hear, you know, people maybe not as good now because Brevard is, you know, has a lot of people there now, you know, but back in the day, please, you could hear them practicing, you know. I graduated at Brevard Music Center because that was the biggest place that they could have a graduation. You know, I played in the pit there, you know, that type of a thing. So I literally grew up in the thick of it. And not just like classical music, but gospel, R&B. I used to want to write songs for Babyface and L.A. Reid. I wanted to move to Atlanta and be a songwriter for LaFace Records.
How long ago was that?
8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. Yep. When Faith Evans came out with You Used to Love Me, that was like, oh, I want to do that. And then Toni Braxton was in the mix and everything.
I know that's your girl.
Okay. So it's you know, let me stop.
You're the other Braxton.
Okay, yes,
Mhm.
So yeah, I grew up around music and all types of music, and so now it's a situation where I'm working with younger singers, and I try to infuse other genres into. Okay, exactly. See, there's happening. So what happens is I'll try to infuse something that maybe Faith Evans was singing and show a student how the apparatus still works the same. And so I have a student named Erica. She loves Anita Baker. I say, Erica, I need you to sing Sweet Love. So she'll sing it. And I say, okay, you feel how that's happening very easily to you.
Mhm.
And then I'll say, okay, let's go back and look at this Mozart. I want you to bring that same smoke to this piece here. And so I'm kind of merging the two genres to show young students that the apparatus works the same way. You just sing a different genre. I wouldn't sing Mi Tradi the same way I sing Pace Mio Dio. It's a different genre. It's a different, almost different style.
Mhm.
And so that's how I'm taking what I learned growing up. Especially with gospel music, the idea of implementing chest into the singing.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, listen, if you can teach both genres and you can teach both styles, right?
Yeah,
Both singers, those
yeah,
are very different animals, in a
yeah,
way. I
yeah,
mean, you're laughing all the way to the bank doing that because,
yes,
especially nowadays, so many singers are required to sing, multiple
absolutely.
styles and recital.
Absolutely. And it's also just a way to connect with young students because I have something I call the voice lesson menu. And it's kind of like a question and answer about things that they're interested in. I give them 4 or 5 different choices of how they will make up lessons depending on how many times I'm going to be away performing. And
Mm.
at the end, I ask them, I say, give me 5 people that you are listening to on your Spotify playlist. Doesn't matter what genre. Because if you're listening to a lot of Jasmine Sullivan, that's going to tell me why. Okay, I know why she's singing like this because she's listening to Jasmine Sullivan doing that. Or I know why that coloratura sounds like that because she's listening to Brandy. And so then I can have a way to kind of merge those two so that they get to be their authentic self as a singer,
Yes.
and they can also understand how to make that sound in a healthy way. Not saying that Brandy, she's a vocal Bible, okay? So I'm not saying that. But I'm just, okay, I mean, hello. And Jasmine Sullivan too. Um, but just to find a way to merge those two so that they can do either or
Mhm.
safely and effectively at a high level.
Right. Absolutely. Which is what we all want anyway. But
Hello.
y'all better call Sidney Outlaw when y'all. I'm about to call Sidney Outlaw when I start doing my review.
That's Kiki things, Tina. Okay.
The quiet, Mark. We're not letting everybody know that yet, just yet.
Okay.
Yes. So when did you find your voice? Like you always sang, and you're a French horn player, but like when did you find the outlaw, the voice?
So maybe yesterday, um, it changes.
Speak.
It changes. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. I started studying voice in 11th grade. Because I had gone through puberty and all that, and so my voice had lowered. And Dr. Fortney, who was my teacher, and she was a voice teacher at Mars Hill College in Asheville, and so I had formal training then. And by the time I got to UNCG and I started studying with the Queen Mother, Mother Scott, I had already had 2 full years of lessons. I knew how that went.
Who's the Queen Mother? Tell the people.
The great and powerful Levon Tobin Scott, professor at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And that's when I really started learning how to sing and learning about art song. That's the first time I ever heard these Brahms songs that
Mhm.
I recorded was in the Scott studio. It was the first time I worked closely with a Black teacher. I
Mhm.
had Black teachers at Brevard High School, but I was not in their class. And also, I used to skip out on PE. So I wasn't in that class. I was supposed to be, but they wanted me to run up and down the bleachers. I never could figure out why. And that Virgo in me was like, you want me to do what? So I graduated though. I did the physical test and they gave me the grade. It wasn't what I thought I should have got, but I did. I digress. But that was the first time I had a Black teacher that took me under their wing and really trained me and really took care of me. She's like family. She's like a member of my family. You know, my parents, everybody know Miss Scott and her husband and George. And you know, it was just life changing, even though I grew up on campus a lot at North Carolina Central University because my dad and my uncle were big down there with their alma mater, you know. So I like to say I grew up on campus at Central because I did, but I never had a Black teacher like that, you know, like that. And so, you know, I talked to Miss Scott yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm still in touch with her, and it's nice to be her colleague now as well. You know, she's still my mentor, but I call Miss Scott all the time and talk to her about how to handle situations in academia. I still run recordings and things by her and things like that. You know, if there's something big coming up, I'll still run it by Miss Scott. Miss Scott, what you think of this? Because she's gonna give it to me like Jennifer Lewis.
Absolutely. Before we start talking more about the academia, because I really want to speak about that, because so many singers now are teaching alongside having very prominent careers. But I want to talk more about your development and your voice and your repertoire, because I know you do a lot of concerts and recitals, and I know that is your passion, but I do know that you absolutely love opera. And when you were a student, did you always what was the trajectory for you? Like, what did you feel like you were going to do?
So whenever I was a student, I'll start at UNCG. Well, I can start at Brevard High School because I was in concert choir and things like normal young singers are. But when I started studying with Dr. Fortney, for 2 years, I just did vocalises. She signed me rep my senior year because I was going to do a recital for my senior project. And that recital was going to act as my audition package for undergrad. So from maybe, I don't know if my mom is on the chat room, maybe she can answer. Probably December of 1997 to May of 2000, I only sang vocalises. I memorized the Marchese songs. I memorized most of the Panafka songs in Volume 2, Vakai, things like that. And so by the time I got to UNCG, I thought that I was ready to roll. And Miss Scott prolonged that for another 8 to 9 months. All I was singing was vocalises. She finally assigned me some things, just enough. I needed 4 pieces for my jury that first year. And I went right back to vocalises and things like that. And so my training was very old school in the sense that I didn't have any. I only learned the aria my senior year of college. Yep. And the first time I performed it, in fact, I didn't even perform it. I sang The Negro Speaks of Rivers in my Juilliard audition, and I did a coaching with the late Corradina Caparello, God rest her soul. And that was the first time that anybody other than Miss Scott and Andrew Harley had heard Bella si come un angelo. And I later didn't perform that until studio class that fall after I decided to go. So my trajectory was super slow. And Miss Scott mainly trained my voice with vocalises and art song. And she said, you want to sing an aria? Okay, let's look at a bigger art song that's aria-like. And that way, whenever you look at the aria, you'll have some point of reference of how to approach it on your own, because I won't always be with you. You know?
Well, that's why you're a great singer, Sidney. That's why you know.
I try,
That's not everybody, you know. A lot. That's not many people's trajectory. It's very old school, right? Old fashioned. But that is why you sing so superbly, I think.
I didn't own. When I say I sang vocalises, I didn't own a songbook like 24 Italian hits. But like, you know how like we buy repertoire books and things like that. I didn't own any of that until that I found that Juilliard bookstore my first year at Juilliard. And baby, I lived in that thing. I spent so much money in there just buying stuff.
Yeah.
But it was all vocalises. And so I kind of teach through that window with my students now for the past 11, 12 years, and I signed rep because that's what the school asked me to do. And they have deadlines and things that they're working towards, but their lessons are very much rooted in how the mechanism works and how we take that and apply it to whatever we're singing.
Absolutely. So you go from North Carolina to Juilliard?
I did.
Okay, talk about that.
Well, at first I wanted to go study with Yvonne Chanella down at Florida State, but then she's like, "Oh, I'm retired." And so I didn't go to Florida State because that's who Miss Scott studied with. And I was like, "Oh, I want to continue this," but I wanted to leave the state, And so when Yvonne Chanella was like, "No, I'm out," and she had been teaching forever and a day, so I understand. And Arlene Strutt was like, "Hey, kid, you should have a lesson with Steve Smith," because she was coming down to UNCG to coach and stuff back then. And so I knew Arlene well and trusted her. And so, I got in touch with Steve, and that's how that clicked there. And I don't think Steve was even in my audition. It was Brian Ziegler, Cordardina, Thomas Grubb, and somebody else, maybe Margot Garrett, and maybe Diane Richardson, I think they were, the team, the old regime. And so I don't even think Steve was in that audition. So they didn't have any context about me because he wasn't there, but I'm sure Cordina talked after I had that coaching with her, and it was only like 15 minutes, and I think that went well because I grew up in church, and that's the way Mama is like, "Okay, you got 15 minutes to learn this because church is getting ready to start," And so I took that skill set to the coaching at Juilliard. Okay, let's do it then. This is how my mama treat me on Sunday morning. So let's go. What is it? What? So yeah, I did. I moved from North Carolina to New York, and got settled in. It wasn't as much a culture shock to be in New York, but to be in a conservatory setting versus a school of music. Yeah.
What's the difference?
I think that I was a big fish in a little pond. No, it's not so little pond because we had some good singers down at UNCG. I don't know what they got down there now. I'm sure they're good, but back in the day, we used to bay at the moon. Okay, we used to go and David Hawley is still the opera director, and so Rhiannon Giddens was there. We did Little Women back in the day. And so yeah, Diana's an OG. She used to get it together, and so I moved to New York and tried to trying to look to find my crew, but I really found my peeps when I joined the choir at Riverside Church.
The legendary Riverside Church.
I knew I wanted to sing in the choir at Riverside Church because Kathleen Battle's Grace CD is taken on the steps. And I was like, I want to sing at that church. So I didn't know anything about Riverside Church's history. I just had the Kathleen Battle CD. And I knew that I wanted to sing at that church that she took those pictures on. So I went up there and I auditioned for Tim Smith and Chris Johnson. And I got in the choir. And I was in that choir for damn near 20 years. Yep. And that's where I honed the skills of how to sing in a large space as a soloist. I sang most of the oratorios that you named. I sang at Riverside Church first. And even to this day, my Riverside family is still my Riverside family. And they treat my students now with the same love that they gave me back when I was their age.
Wow. You said something really profound because many of us who grow up in the anthem churches, the ones, those people who don't know, I didn't technically grow up in the church, but once I was in high school, that's when my parents started going to church regularly, and I had already had this big voice and high voice and everything. And I had a choir director, Mr. Donald Dumpson, and we would sing these big anthems. And my high school teacher, we sang parts of Brahms Requiem, Verdi Requiem, parts of that, Vaughan Williams pieces. And so and those singers who come out of the tradition and churches where you are exposed to the big anthems, to the big oratorials, it does color the way you learn how to sing and the way you sing as an adult.
100%. And listen, let me tell you something. I thought I was the stuff because I was sitting in Leontine Price's old seat in the choir loft. So you can tell me nothing. And I mean, that's still my seat. If I went back to the choir next week, move over. I love you, dear. I love you, Juan, but you got to move over, honey. This is my seat. And so, you are absolutely right. Learning to sing in the nave at Riverside Church was a game changer for me, because most people say, "Oh, Sidney, you got a beautiful voice, but you're a song singer, not an opera singer." And I'm like, wait, the voice is the voice. Like, and what are you talking about? Later on in life, I realized they're talking about how I was using my resonance, how I was using my resonance. And so that's something that I work on with my students as well, is the idea of using resonance so that the things that happen, things that were said to me when I was their age, they don't have to go through it, because that was confusing. Oh, you're a song singer, not an opera singer. What you talking about? Leontine Price sings opera and song.
All the greats.
What you talking about? Just enormous Brahms CD. Like, what you mean? And I was too young to understand. And so I did. I learned how to sing for a large space in the spotlight at Riverside, because Nelson Mandela came when I was there. Hillary Clinton, Mr. Clinton, the Obamas, everybody was there. Luther Vandross's funeral was there, so I didn't get to meet Luther, but I saw his casket. Stevie Wonder was right there. Talking about, where's the chair? It's right there, Stevie. I don't know why I pointed to it, but I did. I was nervous. I was nervous. I pointed to the chair like you could see it. And so
that's cool.
I was just like, so being at Riverside Church was a game changer to me. And that's still my family, to the point that I took my students yesterday and did a studio recital at the Interchurch Center. And my Riverside family was there, and so that's where I really started to kind of learn how to do those things, and the coachings and the language work and things at Juilliard really complemented what I was doing on my own as well. And I just had a good support team. And I know that's not everybody's story, and in a lot of cases, it doesn't make my story interesting to people, because I didn't come up from something that was tumultuous to this big, at least that's how I feel, that my story is, I don't have a, like Biggie Smalls said, ashy to classy story. I kind of grew up like Theo Huxtable. I wasn't bad like Vanessa. I didn't try to go to Baltimore and have big fun with the wretched. I wasn't that kind of, I didn't try to go to Baltimore and buy donuts in Delaware,
Right.
But,
But that's why I wanted you on the show. That's why I wanted to invite you. And it had to be a timely invitation, because I didn't have you during pandemic and other, it's important to tell all the stories, right? It is important to hear from all kinds of artists, and and everything doesn't have to be trauma led, or like you said, where I came, I didn't grow up. I grew up middle class, two parents. Like I didn't, but I mean, like all the tropes and things like that, So, but I think it is important, and to also, to know that you came from, you went to Juilliard, but that was your second place that you went to, for your education. And
I wouldn't trade my education at UNCG for nothing in the world. I was hanging out on campus at Bennett. I was hanging out with my cousin Nichelle at A&T. I was down at Central. I gave the BP station so much money for those 4 years, ripping and running up and down Highway 40. And I'm still friends with my homies from undergrad. I talk to Ronica every day. I talk to Nick every day. You know, I talked to Jamar. I talked to my roommate Jamar. We still friends. You know, and I wouldn't trade my time at UNCG for nothing in this world. I got a good education there, and I stand by it.
There you go. Yes, again, we have to hear all the stories, and it is important, I think, for everyone. So like you have a lot. Listen, I have the same friends I grew up with since I was a little kid. I've known my husband since I was 8, right? Like I'm grateful for my life outside of
Yeah.
opera and being a professional
Yeah.
musician, right? Like
Ooh,
there
say
is
it.
a
Say it.
whole other life, and that supports this other side. I don't think
Yep.
people talk about that enough
It
in this time.
supports the other
Have
side.
it. Yeah, but it makes you like it keeps you grounded.
Yep, it does. Either that or my mama or my daddy like telling me, you need to bring it down a notch. Although they've never had to do that because I just stay grounded. And I think my being at Riverside Church helped keep me grounded. Like Dr. Forbes is still, I call him my pawpaw. I
Mm-hmm.
can call Dr. Forbes right now. He'll pick up the phone and take over this interview. Good afternoon and welcome to the Riverside Church located at 490 Riverside Drive. Like he'll take over this interview, you know? And so like these are people that were my mentors and they protected me. Marilyn Horn, Miss Caballé, like they protected me, like fully protected me. And I felt the shift when they were at an age to where they could not do that as much as they did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Talk about that because when I was in the Caballé competition, I have my own story about that. She was amazing. Her and I think my two divas that
And
I
telling jokes, her and Elena Obratsova.
yes, when her and she and Evelyn Lear are my two
Oh
divas
Lord,
that
yes.
were just so incredible to
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
in my and kept and kept in
Yeah.
touch,
Yes.
for Evelyn longer because I met Evelyn
Yes.
a lot younger, but yeah, most
Yep.
of that I had I'll never forget the dinner that after the concert, there's
Yes.
a dinner.
Them.
And she
Mm-hmm.
sat next to me and she talked to me. She didn't talk to the winner. Another lady won first place. I won
Yeah.
second place. But that was a whole other thing. But
Yep.
anyway, like
Let me
she
ask you
wants,
this. Did she give you your prize money in cash?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Oh, Sydney. Okay. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I remember that dinner. It was hilarious. Elena Obratsova was there that night, and so she was singing Russian songs, full chest voice. It was almost like she was like an alto in Ricky Dillard's choir. It was just, I never heard anybody take that kind of chest voice up that high. I really enjoyed that competition and hanging out with them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Legends.
yeah,
What makes, because you keep talking about singing, teaching, and
yeah,
you keep talking about our song.
yeah,
You're not talking a lot about opera, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah.
And I want to know, what are the roles that you love to sing, that you want to sing, that you
Yeah,
haven't sung yet?
yeah.
And what is the difference between being a quote unquote concert singer and being an opera singer?
Okay, that's a good question. And we just hadn't gotten to the opera section yet. You know, I'm talking like Whoopi Goldberg. We just haven't gotten to the opera section yet. You know, because all those art songs, all that work led into opera, and it was kind of like a discovery because there were other things, other skill sets that I needed to uh, develop in opera. I couldn't just sing beautifully like I could in an art song. It had to have a dramatic element to it. It
Mhm.
had to have a physicality element to it. So how I move my arm, how I turn my head, things like that. And I struggled with that a little bit, in school because I just, it was scary to be that open and vulnerable, and also I was nervous to make a mistake
Mhm.
going to school where I went to school.
Juilliard.
Yeah, going to Juilliard. I was nervous to make a mistake, but as I got comfortable being in that program, that all kind of dissipated. And I'll tell you what, I found my peeps there. Because when Thomas Cannon ended up coming to Juilliard, that's my homie. That's my homie. We like Cole Brown and Martin Lawrence. Like, you know, like that's my homie, you know. Renita Miller was up in that thing. You know, so it was a bunch of we found our peeps. And so in that, I had a group of people that I could troubleshoot stuff with, and we troubleshot stuff with each other before we took it to class. So it wasn't the first time I did it, you know.
Right,
So,
right.
it was either that or we was trying to outsing each other in the practice room on the 4th floor.
Then there's that part too, I'm sure.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Dr. Cannon. Shout out to Dr. Cannon. That's somebody to have on here.
Oh yeah, Thomas is great.
So, you know, I kind of eased into opera, you know, and got my feet wet. And so, you know, I love opera. I love being able to be different characters in art song, but I love being able, I'm a Virgo, that one track mind. I love being able to play one role. Like I am putting the finishing touches on Giovanni, and I love exploring that role because I get to finish my DePonte trio. So now I'll have all 3 of them learned. And
make sure you speak about that because there are people in there who won't know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and so, you know, I like Giovanni. I love Figaro. I love Singer Mercutio, which is why I took the gig 3 weeks ago at Toledo Opera. I want to sing Onegin. I've been sitting on that for a couple of years, but it's so expensive and a lot of people are afraid that it won't sell, you know, and so I'm sitting on that.
Unless you have a Russian cast, but that's not true.
That's not true, you know. I mean, Pushkin was Black. So if we're looking at that, then let's talk about that, you know. That's a discussion to have, you know. What's another role that I love? I want to sing Bluebeard's Castle.
Yes.
I want to sing Bluebeard's Castle with Whitney Morrison because she's one of my favorite singers too.
Oh yeah, she's a beautiful artist.
She doesn't know it, but now she does if she's watching this. I love singing with her. I did a concert with her a couple of years ago. Simon Estes was hosting it at Cedar Rapids Opera or something, and we did the Traviata duet, Germont and Violette. And that was just one of the best times. And I was like, gosh, I want to do a whole show with her. I want to do Bluebeard's Castle, so we ain't got to share. We could just like do the show, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to sing Bluebeard. I love to sing Golo in Peleas.
Peleas and Melon.
Yeah. A lot of people think I should sing Peleas, and I can. But the role that resonates with me is Golo, partly because it's too hard to learn. It took me forever to learn Golo, and so I ain't relearning nothing. I want to do it for real.
I want to know what I know, right?
Yeah, I'm old, my back hurts, my knees pop. I want to do Golo. So, you know, of course, I love all of the DePonte roles. You know, I think I got a Figaro I'm doing in 2025 somewhere next year already. And so I keep those in rotation.
The DePonte operas are
Così fan tutte, Le Notte di Figaro, and Don Giovanni.
Right.
Yeah. And I love that language. I love DePonte's language. It's not lost on me that he started, I think, the first foreign language program in the United States of America at King's College, which is Lorenzo DePonte. He's buried out by LaGuardia.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, he came to America and he started the Italian department at King's College. King's College is now called Columbia University.
Shut the front door. Okay.
Yeah. And so I always tell my kids, I'm like, listen, he started the first language department across the street. And they're like, shut the front door, for real? You know, and so I love his language. Those operas just flow in my voice extremely well. And also, Corradina Caporello taught the hell out of me. She taught me how to learn those types of operas. And so I take that skill set and I take her spirit with me every time I open a DePonte score. I hear her voice.
Absolutely. I worked with her when I was a student at Curtis, and there was some of the most wonderful
absolutely
coachings. So much, yes.
And so, yeah, I fell into that, I've had comments all the time. Oh, Sydney, you should be singing bigger rep. You should be singing the Verity. I love singing Verity. I'm glad that my team, especially like Warren Jones and people like that, Miss Horn and them, they put the brakes on me at an early age to not sing bigger rep and just kind of let my voice lean into it when she was ready to sing that. And so now the cartilage around my cords is hardening because of age. I'm settling in and I'm able to maintain those types of things safely and effectively. Not the heavy stuff, but the more lyrical Verity stuff, early Verity stuff. I can sing the posas very well. I sing that German. I would love to sing a German, those types of things. And I'm not pushing my voice. That's literally where my voice is sitting now.
Right.
And so much like when Miss Price was coming through, she had a trajectory. Much like Beyonce coming through Destiny's Girls Time, Destiny's Child, Beyonce, she had a trajectory, right? And so she is how she is now because she made a crescendo. And so I've kind of been doing that, going from choir to art song to opera, and then to be in there and just rotate that. I don't just sing opera. I'll sing concerts, I'll sing recitals and things like that. And so it keeps my voice from being weathered.
Mm-hmm. So who was speaking about that? I forget that I was talking to, and they said that art, song, and recital saved their voice. Gosh, I can't remember. It'll come to me.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, it was God, who was it that said that they talked about not having to always sing, the operatic roles, because also in America the houses are just so much larger and you have to produce so much more sound and and all those things. And so someone was saying that it just keeps it, I certainly believe that. I mean, I'm someone who has that very similar career, but that wasn't always a part of my trajectory. Like, I sang much more opera and then sang a little bit, always kept a recital or two in a year and always sang with orchestra and stuff like that. But and then going into new roles and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that also is a rare thing today. It is not a common thing, and it's very difficult to break into those spaces and those circles to do that.
And I'll say this, I'll tell you, if any of my students are on here, they'll tell you in a New York minute how I stayed in New York City before I started getting picked up. When Angela Blasi decided to sign me, we were standing on the corner of 38th and 8th Avenue, which ironically was a block away from the old Met. There's Eric right there. Eric will tell you. Eric was my student. What happened is that singing concerts and art song is how I got paid. Because opera I wasn't accepted into that circle. And in some ways I'm still not. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. I do my thing, but singing opera came late. But the thing that kept my bills paid outside of Riverside Church was singing recitals and doing those art song competitions and doing concert works, because they say, we doing a 4A record and we'll pay you $1,500. $1,500 to a mid-20s kid who can sing the Hostias and Liberame, and all I had to do was sing beautifully. Okay, AT&T got paid, Time Warner got paid, you know what I'm saying? And so I instill that into my students now. I was like, you need money now. You need money now. And politics might not let you get into opera the way that you want to get into opera. And once you get into opera, you might not want. Okay.
I want you to speak to that.
It can be very, it's very cliquish, and I always, as I've aged, I was actually talking to Thomas about this today. Thomas, I'm about to tell it. I feel like, I wasn't the right pedigree for certain people. Even now, I'm not the right pedigree for certain people to be a part of certain circles in the opera world, no matter how prepared I am, no matter how good I sing. I know who I am as an artist, though. And so I'm not afraid to stand on my own and do my own thing, you know? And like I was telling you before we got online here, my whole idea of this thing now has changed. What can I do in service of other people? I got 16 students. What can I do to help my students? What can I do to help my former students, to build them up, to lift them up so that one day when I retire, and I look forward to that. And not in a bad way. My mama and daddy look happy. Every time I talk to them, they got a smile on their face and they going to get the hair done or going golfing or something. And I want to find out too, you know? And so every time, I can't even get my mom to answer the phone. She's so retired. And so, you know, I do. What can I do in service of others? And that's part of the reason why I work with the State Department, traveling and doing master classes and working with other communities outside of the United States who have great, immense talent, but they don't have the formal training that they would get due to them living in a third world country, you know? And so my whole trajectory has changed. I love singing opera, and that's who I am. I'm an opera singer. I'm an artist. Sensitive about my shit. You know, I'm all of those things, you know, but it's how can I sing a recital or do a concert or do an opera in service of the community in which I'm in that moment. You know?
Absolutely. What would you suggest to other people? Because, you know, when we came through, it's a very different industry. It's a very different career. It's a very different there's so many different possibilities for better and for worse, you know, depending on who you are, what your situation is. But there is not a lack of a desire to be an opera singer.
It sure is, and I can tell you, I've been sitting in auditions from 9 o'clock until 7 p.m. since Monday. It is not a lack. We had a 21 to 25% increase in auditions this year at MSM. Opera ain't dead. These kids came in. The last song I heard tonight was Pache before I came to see you. So, you know, it is. There's no shortage of singers.
There's no shortage of singers. But there is a shortage
of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Did you say the same thing?
That's what I said. We said at the same time because that Virgo energy. Now, let me ask you a question. Why do you think that is, Karen? Why do you think there's a shortage of opportunity?
Oh my God, you're gonna get
Are we Cat Williams and Monique right now? Or are we...
It's too early. That's after.
I'm coming. They know I'm coming, and I'm gonna do the best.
No, that's New Year's Eve. We only go in on New Year's Eve on Konvos.
Okay, I'm coming. They know I'm coming, and I'm going.
Yes. And there's many reasons. There's many reasons. You can't ever say just one. The shortage of opportunity. You know, there are much less houses, theaters, you know, I'm just speaking about America because that's what I know most about.
That's what we are. Yeah.
You know, and you know, but also sometimes I think, and this is no, you know, shade against anyone that's out here doing, because listen, I'm thriving. So it's not, it's, you know, I'm doing it my way, you know.
Yeah, I'm doing it my way. I'm not complaining.
Oftentimes the industry, you know, pick certain people in position, leaders, in you know, agents and people who can really push people forward for things, you know. That's not always always merit based, right? There are just people and their tastes and what they like. Sometimes you can have a unicorn walk in front of you, be in front of you and sing and do all the things right, and it's just they don't want it, you know. And I think the audiences, you know, everyone's pining for the golden age of opera and golden age of all those things. And fine, yes, you know, there's many reasons. The teaching is not as great. There's not enough time spent. There's too many people in school. You don't have time to really get to the people that will make the biggest impact. Certain people are chosen. There's no reason why they don't, you know, some people come through and they get all the resources thrown at them and they have 5-year careers, 10-year careers. And then there's people who got completely ignored. that are still out there hustling and
That's
writing and singing and doing the things. So there's multiple
yeah,
reasons why,
yeah,
but I still do believe that there are a solid group of artists
100%.
that could transform this industry, but they
Mhm.
don't get the support. They don't
Get
get
the support.
chosen.
Yep,
Right?
absolutely.
And so, and this is, like I said, this is not to disparage anybody, because I support everybody who is
Absolutely.
out there grinding, who have given their
Yeah.
life to this art form.
Hustling.
But it is just the nature of the
Yeah.
beast. It's this nature.
Everybody, people are out there hustling, you know. It's what you just said reminded me of Lauryn Hill's first verse on the score. She said, I get mad frustrated when I rhyme, thinking of all these kids that try to do this for all the wrong reasons. Seasons change, mad things rearrange, but it all stays the same, like the love Doctor Strange. You know, and every time I hear that song, which is frequent because the Fugees stay in my playlist about as much as Don Giovanni and Notte and Cozy. And so I always think of that, like that album was way before its time. Like Lauryn Hill, people try to tell us that she was crazy. Lauryn Hill wasn't crazy. She was hitting on something back then, you know, and it just kind of hit me whenever you were just explaining that. No, it's not a knock at anybody, because you know, times are hard and people gotta hustle. People out here doing their thing, and I'm grateful for the opportunities that I got. But what you said was true.
Yeah.
What you said was true.
And this and what's beautiful about this particular time is that you can really make it what you want. I think we still have that window of opportunity now, and it is because of the pandemic. It is
Yes.
because of
Yes.
George Floyd's murder. It is because of Me Too. It is because
Yeah.
of a lot of things that cleared a lot for people. You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
can speak for myself. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
this platform alone, you know, where I
Yeah.
had sung a note on
Yes.
the platform
Yeah.
afforded me many opportunities to do so many things. So, like,
Yeah.
I think that we are in an unprecedented time, and I hope we stay in that time, because I
Me
really
too.
do. You know, Marsha Thompson, who was on here, I don't know if she's still on here, she talked a lot about during the pandemic, it was the artists, but specifically Black artists, who kept
Yeah.
opera relevant in our
Yep.
industry. And
Just like on TikTok.
right. There's no tea or no shade to anyone else, but it's very true. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we were out doing all kinds,
Yeah.
and then those who weren't out in the front doing things were supporting
Yeah.
other people who were
From
doing things,
behind.
or they were out
Yep.
grinding and nobody knew, right? But
Yep.
they were out grinding and doing their thing, teaching, continuing to keep the industry up and
Yep.
out,
That's
right?
it.
And
Did you
sometimes,
remember that thing that Nicole Houston did for Juneteenth? I'll never forget it. It was one of the highlights where we all sang the Lift Every Voice and Sing.
yeah,
That was so dope. That was so fun putting that together and just being able to like kiki with everybody. You know,
yes.
of course we couldn't see each other. You know, I mean, you know,
And also, you know, and then David Lomeli told me, he said, I wish more people were doing some of the things that they were doing during pandemic. Now, fine, people are busy, you know, everyone can listen. I'm doing this regularly now because CSI reached out to me and said, hey, let's collaborate, right? You know, and so and also I enjoy it. But like, yeah, he said, I wish artists were doing more of those things that they were doing.
you know why we're not though? Is because we are, like Lenny said, every day we hustling because the more work we get, the more expensive it is to get to the gig, or we gotta pay for the housing up front. So that means gotta work a little bit extra harder, and I might not have time to do a kiki conversation this week. And so people are, like he said, every day I'm out here hustling. And
Yes.
so it's a hustle to even have enough money to get to the gig that you're gonna give half to. I'm gonna give half of it to Kathy Hochul up in Albany. I'm gonna give Adrian her portion. You know, I got nephews and nieces that be wanting stuff. You know, that type of thing. Those are my family. You know, and then Briar Hill wants their rent tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I hear what he's saying, but I also, you know, it would be really cool. I wonder what he would do if a group of us got together and found a way for major organizations like his to help put people on a platform so that they have that to do. You know, we call it faculty research money. You know, like if I go to the development office and say, is there funding for faculty research? I want to do a recording. I want to do a blah blah, and so maybe that's something we need to be having a town hall about at Opera America, of how those types of things can either help be funded, and not just for famous people, but for people in the middle class of opera, or for students in grad school or something like that, to see how what that would look like, because we don't know.
Yeah. What did you mention? What did you say?
But getting funding for people to do have a platform to do things like what you're doing here, like we were doing during the pandemic. We had the time, because they was like, don't come out of the house, because it is I Am Legend outside right now.
Yeah.
And so, how can we get a little bit of support with those types of projects, based on what we want to do. We want to start another opera company and tell them to fund it. What is this, the golden age, the gilded age, but how can we work together as a community with the opera companies or the arts organizations to do what you're doing with Cincinnati Song Initiative, that type of a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair a question. That's a fair ask, and I think so many companies and orchestras and presenters, everybody, it depending on where you are, depending on the level, depending on like what you're funding. Some people are thriving, but many people are not. And I think once maybe in a year or two seasons, when things have sort of prayerfully leveled out,
it's still, this election year.
Yeah, and we're also still in the throes of pandemic. The end of pandemic, right? Well, not just catch up. It's like a lot of the PPP money, the support money, the grants money, the things for diversity, they're all gone. And so now you have to go back to figuring out how to make a sustainable model, for nonprofit, whatever that is, anything getting people back into the theater. But there are also other grants and organizations. That's what Sam was saying. But but again, artists are not waiting for the industry, not waiting for an organization, not going after doing the proactivity part of an artist. That you need that in general. You need that for your hustle anyway.
Well, whether people notice you or support you or not, just do it. Just do it. Both from the CDs that I have out, I got support for them, that type of a thing. But there's always that idea of, everybody is doing this right now. Will they even notice me? Will they even notice that this is out? Does anybody care that I'm a Black artist recording German lieder? That hasn't been done too often, and everybody expects me as a Black artist to sing repertoire by Black composers, which I've been doing for 20-something years. I was doing it when they were telling me that it was esoteric. Hey, Kitty. They were telling me that it was esoteric and I shouldn't put it in the repertoire, but Warren and Miss Horn was like, no, you're going to leave it. You're going to go out there and you're going to sing this, And so, but I did it anyways, and it was well received. More often than not, I get emails from people, a lot of students saying, Professor Outlaw, thank you for recording the Songs of Separation, or thank you for recording the 5 songs of Lawrence Hope. I didn't know that Lawrence Hope was actually a woman named Adela Corey. I'm so glad that you recorded these, because now I have a point of reference. I'm doing them on my recital, blah, blah, blah. And so while it was, when you do a recording for me, like Leontine Price says, it's like looking at yourself in the mirror and hoping that you like all you see.
Yes.
And I was nervous about both of these recordings coming out, but I know that it's in service, because I will have students probably write me and say, oh my God, thank you for doing this. I've never heard a man sing these. And now I have that perspective, that type of a thing. And so, and do it, whether anybody listens to it or whether it becomes a cult classic or it gets all the reviews or not, do it anyways.
Right, do it anyway. You hit on 2 points. One is a thing that I always come up against, because I love singing new pieces. I love singing new works because I love to put my stank on things.
Yes, 100%.
You know, and I do a lot of Black composers' music. It wasn't something that I always did,
Yes.
you know, because I'm very traditional, operatic, old school training in that way. But also things were not as available as they are now, you know. So, but I love doing Black composers music, but I find that that's oftentimes the first thing that comes, and I'm like, you know, but my background is very traditional because I'm the Curtis, so like it's very like opera, concert, you know, all the German lieder, French chanson, you know, all those things. And so I think as a Black artist, you know, or any artist of color, right, you know, it is staying out of those boxes, and so much of your career is staying out of a box.
100%. Here's one thing that I put it to my students at the conservatory. Florence Price, many of those composers who we all love, they loved Bach and Mozart and wrote in those likenesses. The foundation of how they were composing was in that likeness. They just dipped it in Black culture.
You need to say that it's not the artist, it is the people who green light. These are people who make the decisions, and it is the administrators. That just because something is done by a person of color is different than a Verdi line. It is the same thing.
It's just
it's so much prejudice against that.
I believe the epicenter of Black culture is the church. The epicenter of Black culture is rooted in the church. And so when I hear Burleigh, who his favorite opera was Tristan and Isolde, he saw it 66 times. So, like, okay, you know, how do you do that? He was also known as one of the premier baritones of the first part of the 20th century, you know? And so, you know, you hear Jungle Flower. At the end, he puts that Picardy third at the end, and you hear that same harmonization kind of in Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. He always adds that little bit of Black spice to it because that's who he is. It was rooted in that, you know. But if you listen to, you can find the Tristan chord in Lovely, Dark, and Lonely One that he wrote. It's literally in there. I'm like, is this man? Hold on, let me rewind it. Where's my pencil? Let me rewind this tape back. You know, like, so you hear these things. And so I've been explaining it that way to my students so that they understand that I'm asking you to sing En Chloé by Mozart so that you can go over here and sing this piece that you are very interested in and sing. I hope you're interested in singing them both because you got a recital to do and you can do 2 sets. But I want you to understand that this person was writing in this likeness and they put their own, like you said, stank on it. They put their own style and brought their culture into it and it evolved into something else, a different type of a musical language. But the root of it is the same, you know? That's the way I've been explaining it. And maybe next year I have to explain it different because I'll have a different set of students. But right now they seem to latch on to that idea. And so I'm not kicking anyone off of the table. I think the table is large enough to add to it. You know me, I love Dorothy Rudd Moore. She's probably my favorite composer. But Dorothy Rudd Moore is hard to sing. It's hard. Intervally, all those leads and things, that's hard to sing. So if you never studied Schoenberg, if you've never studied new music at all, that's going to be hard. You know? And so I try to put it that way. I try to think of it that way for myself and for my students, that there is room at the table. That's what Dr. Forbes would say on Communion Sunday at Riverside. He said, there's room at the table. You ain't got to be a member here to have communion. Come on down here, you know? And so it's my connected and linear, these musical roots. Yes, you know.
But this is the kind of conversation that has to be had at the table. This is the kind of conversation that has to be had.
And the right people need to be at the table.
Let me finish. Yeah, well, that part too. But those who are at the table now, presently, need to be need to be privy to these kind of conversations. So when you are programming, when you are trying to pitch these operas, these whatever evenings to your boards. Like the boards need to be hearing this. Everyone needs to understand, right? But you have to have leadership that is willing to learn on top of trying to fund the whole ass opera company, right? So there's just another. But if you are in the business of selling art, right? Selling this art form, this the 21st century, in 2024 and beyond, these are the kind of conversations. And when you are listening to singers, you are auditioning singers, you are thinking, and you have to check your prejudice to say, if someone sings this song, this aria from this type of composer, it's not different. It is linear. And when you've done your homework, you understand, and your ears listen differently, right? So that is a very important to this in our industry. And I hope there are people out there. Maybe we just pulled that out, Sam. You know, but it is a very important.
Yep, it's very important. Let me ask you this though: how many people think do their homework? Okay, you look to the side.
I think there is we all have room to learn a lot, but I do think that I think that a lot of, and arguably there are people who heard a lot of legendary singers and legendary conductors and legendary artists of a different time live, and there's a different way that we learn and know. And I think some people who are in positions of leadership may not know the history, the lineage, all of those things, right? So they are maybe informed by recordings and not necessarily, or whoever their mentor or mentee. Listen, there is a lot of that. It's just it's hard to say because I still want to get hired, but I do.
Absolutely, I hear you.
I know
you absolutely.
Sometimes you are auditioning for people and working with people who know less than you do about how this thing, how it works, how it functions, or about music in general. So there is that part too.
It's very fascinating to hear Dr. White, my teacher, talk about being younger than me, living in New York City. And one day he was talking about going to the opera. And Doc always talks about the opera, Karen, right? And so I stopped and I said, Doc, you keep saying downtown. You mean to tell me you went to the old Met? He was like, Sidney, where'd you think I was going when I was your age? The Met that wasn't built until 66. So where you get a haircut on 38th and 8th across the street is where the opera was. And so, he's talking about hearing these singers in their prime singing at the old Met, and so that's his perspective because he was there, I love to hear Ken Benson tells stories about going to the Met, standing in. It's fascinating when he posts those things online or he'll post an old program, and I'm like, it's fascinating. His perspective is different.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's also, how do you train a 21st century artist in a very old art form? There's all those things. And then the industry, I did the talk with Aprile Milo when she, on this platform on Konvos, but also she came and she did the masterclass for Black Leadership Arts Collective, and the idea that people are writing music for opera for a microphone. She didn't believe it, and she was blown away about all the new styles and stuff. But that's a whole other conversation. But a whole other conversation. Which, listen, hey, I want to, as long as the story is good, and the singing is what it needs to be for that particular piece of work, then I'm okay with
my idea with microphones is they'll adjust it once they hear me sing. It's either they'll adjust the mic or they'll have to pay $5,000 for a new one. So they're going to protect their equipment. So I'm like, okay, put the mic where you want to put it. I'm going to sing like normal, and you can adjust it how you see fit. You'll probably turn it all the way down and keep it kind of on. Okay, that's cool. As long as I can get up from this aria, then I'm good,
Yes, I want to talk about your project. New project.
Yeah.
Can we see that? You see that?
I think everybody can see that lovely picture that Kia took.
Gorgeous picture of you. talk about your next project.
Yeah, my next project, I've always wanted to record lieder, German lieder and French melody and things like that because, again, the first CD I had, this is back in the 1900s, the first CD I had was the pink Leontine Price CD that opened with Claire de Lune and had all the foray on it, you know. The second CD I had was the Kathleen Battle Grace CD. And really the first CD I had, because my mom had it, was the spiritual CD with Jesse Norman Miss Battle. And so that you know, those three CDs, you know, growing up, and I remember in college listening to these songs that I recorded. It's a live performance, but they made it for recording. And I remember being at UNCG and I was like, oh, Jesse Norman is performing with Daniel Barenboim. And for class, we had music history, we had to listen to symphonies or whatever. So I was familiar with Daniel Barenboim and I liked him as a conductor, but I didn't know that his first job was a concert pianist. So that was new to me. And I remember listening to that recording and I was like, oh my God, I love these songs. I want to do these songs. There's only two of them though. And so Miss Scott was like, yeah, there are only two of these songs. You know, that's a set of songs. He wrote them together, you know. And that's when I first started learning about cycles and sets of songs, Andi Geliebte, things like that, because she saw that I was interested in that. And so my lessons lean towards that history, that lineage and things like that. And so, you know, I, like you said, I felt like the time was right to do them. I recorded them in 2021.
This recording is from 2021.
Yeah, I put them
Wow.
on because I didn't have the money to put the recording out. And I knew I wanted my first recording to be my first recording. And so, you know, I thought the time was right to do them. And I talked to Jonathan and Jillian, and I was like, listen, you still got that recording. It's on ice. I want to, you know, have it mastered and produced. And because it's a live recording, it was from a recital.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear it, it does, they did such a fantastic job on it. It does not sound like it's a live recording. It sounds like a studio recording. And I was teaching at Ithaca College at the time. And something happened where Warren could not come play for me. I think it was snow or something because we were in Ithaca. And Horace Damaris played for me. He's, I think he's the chair of collaborative piano at Ithaca College. And an old classmate of mine who's on faculty there, Kyle Umbers, played the viola. And it was just, the time was right. And we all just clicked. It was a beautiful recital. That set of songs was a highlight of the recital. And so I talked to Jonathan the day of the recital and Horace, and Jonathan was like, look, I can't get up there. Have them mic Kyle, the piano, and you, so that whenever we do this, we don't have to worry about levels and things like that. And so because Horace is tenure there, he laid down the law, and they really did a great job on this recording, the engineers at Ithaca and Lexicon. And so I'm excited about this recording because it's the first recording that I have out that's in a foreign language. Well, that's just me, because Orestian Trilogy was in French, you know, but this right here, this is me. And I did that first CD, that debut CD, and that was great, and I loved it, and that's the foundation. This is my branding. And now I'm, you know, going in. Beyonce's doing a country album, you know, so I want to do a German lead album. I'm no Beyonce, but I stay keeping the edges pulled, and to that I say thank you, you know. And so, you know, but I'm super excited about this, and it's just 2 songs, y'all. It's just 2 songs. He wrote them. They're a set of 2 songs. And they were first published in 1883. You know, I think they were performed maybe like 1887 or something, the premiere or something like that. You know, they were of the Gilded Age. They were of the Gilded Age, you know. And so, you know, I explained to my students, this is what music sounded like. I always tell them this was their pop music. This was their pop music, especially with American composers. I think about Burley. Burley stopped writing art songs due to the evolution of jazz and ragtime. People wanted to hear something different, and he wasn't into that, and so that's how that stopped. And so, but this was their pop music. And so I try to put it that way to my students so that they understand that classical is just a term. It's words that people made up to put to this. If you want to think of this like Mary J. Blige, then okay, think about that, because this song is talking, you might as well be on the My Life album. I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
If you're singing a Duke Park song, you might as well be singing something from the My Life album.
Exactly.
Yeah, I said it. I said it, and because it's true, doggone it. And
So a song is a song is a song is a song. It doesn't matter.
Thank you. Does it resonate with you? Does it say something that you want? This is a story that you want to tell. And this is a story that I wanted to tell. And I love German Lieder, and I decided to take a chance and release it. Even though the expectation for most is I should only be releasing repertoire that was by Black composers. And I'm still going to do that, because Brittany Boykin wrote a hell of a song cycle for me that I'm going to record and release.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a fabulous. I heard the stream from MSF. Yeah. I was like, whoa, and I think she writes beautifully for the male voice specifically. Yes. She's a phenomenal. Absolutely. She understands.
Yeah.
Yeah. When does this recording come out?
This recording is coming out on March 15th. It's coming out on March 15th. And I'm happy to do it in Women's History Month as well, and to have that, because normally women sing this set of songs.
Mm-hmm. Altos,
yeah, altos and contraltos. It's written for alto, viola, and piano. And so, I say support women just because. I say support Black women just because. Support women just because. And so I'm releasing it in Women's History Month, to pay homage to that women sing this cycle, and I don't want to diminish that, because that's the foundation of this cycle, and so it'll be out March 15th, and I'm just super excited. Had a great team working on this. Lexicon, Jillian, her husband, John, and Jonathan, and the engineers at Ithaca College. It just kind of, and then also Horace Damaris and Kyle Ambers, they put their foot in this recording. This is really good work, and I hope I get to work with them again, because that was some dope playing from both of them.
Beautiful. Where do they live?
They live in Ithaca still. They're still on faculty up at Ithaca College.
Beautiful.
And so they still live up there. It's probably snow on the ground up there by now.
Yes, it is. Speaking of the great contraltos, the great voices.
Yes. Is that a record?
No, it is a compilation of all. It's a book of all her RCA recordings that was gifted to me from, I think it came out last year, the year before. My dear friend and collaborator, Casey Robarts, gifted me this after one of our recitals, I think last year or maybe in 22. And I have a CD player in my car, so occasionally I do take it out. But the great Marian Anderson just had the house, the theater, the former Verizon Hall, now the Marian Anderson Hall at the Kimmel Center in our great city of Philadelphia, named after her.
I love it.
I love it. And you said
have to be given to me too, because I was going to say, where'd you get that from?
This? Oh, wait.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, where'd you get that from? Because the minute this interview was over, I'm going to be. And then he was like, it's gifted. Okay, so that means I probably can't afford it.
Okay. You never know. Listen.
That is expensive and fabulous.
Well, it has all like some of the photos from our recording sessions, and listen, there's somebody out there will gift it to Sir for Outlaw. One of the team Outlaws.
Okay, because I love stuff like that.
Yes, I know. I haven't even gotten through everything. I heard every recording.
Yeah, the first one I ever bought was the Leontine Price box set.
Yes, the red one.
So that is not even in my apartment. That is at home in North Carolina in the room that I grew up in, because don't nobody ever come to my mama's house. So I left it. I left it at home, and it's in like the case still, and it's sitting there because I can listen to it on my Spotify.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
exactly.
want I want that, and so I left it at home just in case any drama happens. Nope, nope. It is at home. It is on the cabinet at home, and
There
that's where
you
it's.
go. And that's where it stays.
Yeah,
What's next for you, Sydney? What do you have?
I'm doing a recital on March 18th with Brooklyn Art Song Society. I'm doing some of the Spanish Leader by Wolf.
Mhm.
And then in April, I start rehearsals for that Giovanni with Boston Baroque. I'll come back home, finish teaching, do juries, and then I go to Nashville Symphony to do Carmina Burana and Songs of a Wafer in the same concert.
Wow, fabulous.
And then I'll do a master class for art song preservation. No, for the Duncan Williams competition thing. I'm gonna do a master class for that.
New York. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I got Belcore this summer in Charlottesville. And I think that's it.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's enough.
That is a lot. You're really doing it. You're really, having
Yeah.
a career on your terms and doing all kinds of things and teaching and giving back to the next generation. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm I'm enjoying myself. And you said something that resonates with me. I'm doing it the way that it's not the way that I envisioned it in undergrad, but it's the way that it should be. And to that, I say thank you. And to that, I say thank you because I have autonomy over what I sing. I have autonomy over an agency over how I make sounds, and I get to work with a lot of times my old classmates that I came through the circuit with. We're now all in our late 30s and 40s, and we get to put those skill sets to use on the stage, whatever we're doing. And I was telling you, I had such a good time doing Romeo and Juliet in Toledo, and then to do the Beethoven 9. I just really had a good time. I really enjoyed myself. I'm really enjoying myself performing and teaching. I'm really having a good time, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, there are problem solving things that you have to come up with. Okay, cool, we'll figure it out. But I'm enjoying myself.
that's important. I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that you have to keep the joy and the love.
Yeah.
And so many people don't talk about that because it is an incredibly difficult
Yeah.
journey. But like,
Yeah.
I
It's difficult.
love
I'm not
to
saying
hear
it's
you.
not.
I
Yeah,
love
not
to hear
saying
you say that you are enjoying yourself.
I
That's
am. I'm having a damn good time.
extremely important.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think that is a great way to end a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could go on forever. We didn't really.
Listen, okay, I didn't look at the time.
I know. We're on an hour and 30, almost an hour and 30 minutes, and
Wow.
we didn't really get to kiki. But you have to come back.
Okay, yes. I thank you for putting me on and supporting me, Karen, and helping me get the word out about the CD. I appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely. When I saw it pop up, I was like, "Ooh, I gotta have Sydney. I gotta have Sydney on." And and then I think they're sharing how the recording was already.
Yeah.
See, we don't think about that. You think about,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta go into the studio and have to record this whole thing.
Yeah.
But you actually are releasing something that was already recorded. I think I think a lot of more people will gravitate to
and
that.
you get the energy in the room too. There's no applause in it because they obviously took it out.
Mhm.
But the energy, the vibe of the room, the energy was so thick in that recital hall of just high good energy, and so you get that in the recording, versus okay, cut, let's do it again, that type of thing. And I love that too, but like you get the experience of having that energy and that love coming from the audience in that. And so it is a live recording. It doesn't sound like it, but it is. There were people in the audience.
Well, go on then. You better do a live one and done. I love it.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Unless somebody has questions on here, I think everybody's been listening and tuning in.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like people pop in and out.
Yes.
And, people are busy, but the replay of because I keep everything up on my Facebook page,
Okay.
and also the YouTube page or whatever.
Yes.
I still haven't decided if I'm gonna pull everything off of Facebook and go on to YouTube, because this is where the people are. The people are on
Yeah.
Facebook, and
They're
so
on Facebook.
yes, and I love that, or TikTok, whatever, Instagram, whatever. That's different. But I love how sometimes the comments will pop up as people come on
Yes.
to see the video, later on as they, scroll by. So anyway,
Yes.
thank you, Sydney. Don't go, because I'm gonna
Okay.
wrap up. Thank you all for
Okay.
coming to Konvos again on Thursday. We're gonna be on a little break for a couple weeks because I gotta sing. Next week I will be in recital with Mark Markham in Baltimore. I will. Yes, Mark is an incredible human, incredible artist, incredible pianist. I'm very fortunate. We are doing a beautiful recital that we're trying out and debuting, where I'm getting to do a lot of different styles of music. So that's one thing. And then Songs in Flight, Sean Uncle Peblo's amazing song cycle that he wrote last year. Is getting its Chicago premiere at Wheaton College, where he teaches. And it is, if you are in the Chicago area, and I'll post more. We'll all post more on that. Please try to come to that recital, because it is a phenomenal evening of song. And Rhiannon Gideons is also on that concert.
I said hello.
Oh, hey, Patrick. And
hey, Patrick.
Yeah, and yes, Aspire. Yes. Are you coming, Patrick? Are you going to be able to come?
You know he's going to be there.
And so anyways, this Rhiannon Giddens, Markel Reed, because Will Liverman originated the baritone part, but Will is booked, busy, blessed, all of the things, and Markel is graciously stepping into this beautiful concert, and Reggie Mobley, of course, a phenomenal.
Okay,
yes, and myself and Paul Sanchez will be in concert. So girlfriend's gonna be busy and then learning a crap ton of things. So, but y'all will see me at the end of March. So, with another couple guests. So I'm excited. But anyway, thank you all for coming. Oh, I hope so. And I'll see y'all in a couple weeks or on this thing we call social media.
Yes.
Because y'all know the girls. I do my thing.
Yes.
I do my thing.
And thank you all for coming to this conversation for me to talk about my CD. March 15th. It's digital release only, so it's going to be on all platforms. I thank y'all. I appreciate you, and I just I love us.
Yes, exactly. Blow it up. Stream it. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.